ruins of an ancient alien laboratory discovered in China. A few decades ago, Chinese researchers encountered an unusual ancient structure that quickly spread to news agencies but came to unimaginable proportions in ufological groups as a case of an ancient alien laboratory that for unknown reasons was abandoned by its creators, purpose of its existence. The findings are known as Baigong pipes, but also Delinga pipes. It is a series of characteristic formations found near White Mountain, about 40 kilometers southwest of Delinga, somewhere between Haixi, Mongol, and Tibetan Autonomous Prefecture in the Qinghai province of China. Some of the Baigong pipes are reported to be related to three caves that appear in the front of Mount White. The entrances of the two smaller caves have collapsed. Only from the largest cave, which is 6 meters high, that's about 18 feet height, can one enter it. They're said to have been first discovered by a team of scientists from the United States looking for dinosaur fossils in the remote desert that forms most of the crossroads between the Chinese province of Qinghai and Tibet. But according to the online edition of the Britannica Encyclopedia, quote, the pipes were discovered in 1996 by Bai Yu, a Chinese writer, or in some cases an archaeologist, while exploring a remote part of the Kaidam Basin. On a slope of Mount Baigong, he spotted a carved triangular cave overlooking a saltwater lake called Toson. Thinking that the cave was human, he went inside, where he saw a series of metal pipes rising from the floor and embedded in the walls. Notice more pipes protruding from the hill surface as well as along the shores of the lake. When he sent samples of the two material to the government laboratory for testing, the laboratory reported that 92% of the material consisted of common minerals such as iron oxide. These are strange branches of metal pipes from a few centimeters in diameter to the size of a toothpick, and according to the method of thermal illumination, their age exceeds the existence of people in the area. Some estimate them to be about 150,000 years old. According to some historians, there are no traces of human habitation until about 30,000 years ago. Even if they did, they would be nomads, making it unlikely that they had the knowledge, such fine tools, and time to build a complex plumbing fixture. But if people did not make it, then the question arises, who was there to build and pass a huge network of metal pipes whose alloy includes unknown materials? Many theories have been formulated. The latter indicates that they are not even pipes. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, the theory that scientists most likely found, according to a 2003 article in Xinnim Weekly, was that pipes were fossilized molds of tree roots. They are therefore identified as fossilized tree roots. The mystery has been solved, and now the local government promotes these features as a tourist attraction to which visitors are led through the road signs and tourist guides. Some of them see that there is a structure at the top of White Mountain that has a vague resemblance to a pyramid, but most likely it is a visual illusion, as there does not seem to be any confirmation. With our imagination as a vehicle, things have a completely different dimension and completely unreal and overturn all the above. If we trust people who claim to have visited alien spaceships for their consent, talked to the friendly beings on board, and were allowed to tour their boat, their craft, so they got an idea of some things, then the facts would be different. Ludwig Pohlmann, a German businessman, claims that in 1964 he made friendly contact with an alien race from Itibi Ra II, and with his consent boarded their spaceship. He argued, among other things, that the vessel or parts of it consisted of biological cellular structure. He did not hesitate to say that through the floor he could see something that looked like 1 billion nerves and blood vessels. On September 20th, 1977, the so-called Petrozavodsk phenomenon occurred. These are observations of unknown objects that appeared from Copenhagen to Petrozavodsk, the former USSR, from where it took its name. It had dozens of witnesses in each area and caused great upset to government officials in Northern Europe and, of course, the Soviet Union. Its main feature was a large glowing body that emitted raindrops or jets of light that fell to the ground, as if hanging tentacles, which is why it was named jellyfish. The phenomenon is sometimes attributed to the launch of Soviet satellite Cosmos 955. For our hypothesis, what matters is that the light rays fell to the ground and seemed to sink into the ground, or actually sink. With a little more imagination, if we connect the two previous incidents, we could estimate that about 150 years ago, at least one extraterrestrial living biological mother spaceship landed near the lakes of China on the White Mountain. It began to rain a sequence of light beams that connected the spacecraft to the ground. If there were people in the area, the friendly creatures would explain to them that these tentacles of light were like roots, because the spaceship, the craft, that was an artificial but living organism, and this process helped to supply it with vital elements from the Earth. At the same time, it functioned as a laboratory for analyzing the soil and its chemical compositions in order to see if the conditions were suitable for the creatures to grow their own plants, vegetables, and fruits that they brought from their planet. So let the craft penetrate its roots everywhere in the ground, around to feed, but also to study the composition of the soil. Inside the cave, the boat itself, or the beings on board, and the scientific staff set up a huge ancient alien laboratory, a small-scale lake water treatment with a reservoir and a dam that regulated the flow of water, perhaps to convert it into kinetic energy. Hundreds of pipes in the inner walls of the cave, but also inside the stones, were developed as living organisms in order to carry out other work of chemical or other types. Of course, inside the cave, they made stairs that led to high observation posts, supports like columns to prevent the cave from collapsing, as well as others that were necessary for them to do their job. They also processed the entrance of the cave to be triangular in shape because it was probably related to the pyramid at the top of the mountain, which was carved by smaller flying boats. The ancient extraterrestrial laboratory was now ready and functional and with only natural resources. When the whole process was over, the roots were cut off and remained submerged in the earth, in the cave, the rocks, the surrounding surface, as well as in the bottoms of the lakes. It's obvious that the land was not used. Thousands of years passed and the extraterrestrials' living structures were fossilized, while some rooms and entrances of the cave collapsed due to natural causes. The ancient alien laboratory was almost destroyed, but almost. The metal pipes were still left. Imagination, you see, can combine a lot of information and make some very good assumptions, perspective, chances. One of them could be that perhaps a few 100,000 years ago, there was a fairly advanced culture of people who worked miracles when the knowledge they had, but then for unknown reasons disappeared, leaving behind strange traces. If we strengthen our imagination even more, then we have aliens who can do everything, like an ancient alien laboratory perhaps, for reasons incomprehensible to us. If we reduce our imagination almost completely, then we have a paradox instead of a pyramid at the top, and a natural geological phenomenon with fossilized roots of unknown tree species instead of metal pipes from an ancient alien workshop. This is written with a creative mind and imagination based on combined reports from Encyclopedia Britannica, Baigong pipes, and Petrozavodsk phenomenon from Alien Base, Earth's Encounter with Extraterrestrials by Timothy Good. I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.